Welcome, guys, to another episode of Conscious Curious, where we deep dive with those that are thriving in their passion.
Awesome.
On tonight's episode, we have AUSTiN AUTHENTic, also part of Shoelace Swishers.
Yeah.
He's in town briefly
Yep.
from Detroit, Metro Detroit.
Metro Detroit, yeah.
So, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let's just, what were you in town for?
So I was in town, so one of my best friends was like, hey, I have a room, pretty cheap. I'm like, okay, she asked me if I wanted to come. I'm like, yeah, let's come. So if I'm coming here, I'm definitely going to do some business stuff out here.
Okay, always
promote
grinding.
some stuff,
Right,
yeah.
Right. And promoting for shows, or I think you had merch, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
what I'm trying to do is we're doing a couple shoots for our merch that's coming out, and that's another thing, which is so we started a clothing line, which is it's kind of like it's like an independent streetwear brand,
Okay.
but also heavily influenced by music, heavily influenced with just like art in general, and that's called Never Press Pause. Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
So never press pause is kind of has two meanings to it. So like never pressed, like I don't know if you ever heard that term, like, oh, I'm not pressed, like
Okay,
about
like you mean stressed out?
yeah, like stressed out about the
Okay.
situation. And then never press pause, meaning like never give up on your dreams, always keep grinding, always keep doing your passion, because it eventually will work out. And the funny thing about pause is how that became is because me and my partner in Shoelace Swishers, our record label that we started, which is called PAW, which is like our government name, which is my name's Austin Weber, he's Tino Persichetti, so it was Persichetti and Weber. And then he joined along with it. My manager, who's in the back of the room, you guys can't see,
Hey,
he joined.
shout out.
Yeah, he joined it with us, and he had his own brand called Sunny Entertainment.
Okay.
So we merged it together, Pause. So then the double entendre of pause and then never press pause.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Thank you.
It's another way to just never give up. you know?
Exactly.
But yeah, I think it makes you more relatable.
Yeah, for sure.
In the streetwear brand. Streetwear is very tough.
Yeah, it is.
This pod wasn't a pod. It was actually streetwear.
Yeah, I can tell, man. Those look good.
And it's the margins are very small, so
Yeah.
it's hard to do it if you're chasing money.
Exactly.
And you guys have the right idea about building a brand
Yeah.
and getting your feet wet in different industries
Yeah.
to build that brand.
Yeah.
How long, and I guess just to reel it back in, is there a label or other artists you would identify with to help people get an understanding of what kind of artist you are?
So yeah, I always get asked this question, and the way that I try to define my music is, so we take heavily from alternative rock, which like the way we do our harmonies, the way we do some of our melodies, but then like today's modern music is like kind of like more trappy. That's kind of like what really pops up. So like we had it labeled as alternative hip hop, but the way that we're like kind of like we don't even really have a genre. That's the crazy thing. Like we kind of just like, if I walk into the studio and I'm just like in a hyper mood, just want to get something that's banging, we'll make something like that. But if I'm in my feels, then we'll kind of like slow it down just with some guitar chords and stuff like that. It's kind of really, honestly, the best way I can say it is mood related music.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it. If you could throw out a couple names out there to help people relate. So, for example, the one that comes to mind could be 21 Pilots.
Oh, wow.
Something like that.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Right?
So that's a pretty solid explanation of it. 21 Pilots. The way we do some of our stuff, like some of our unreleased stuff, people compare it to like Logic.
Okay. Not just because you're white.
Yeah, not just because I'm white. The people compare that to Logic, kind of like the way that we do our flow, the way we like switch it up a lot.
Okay. Like they don't see it coming.
Yeah, and like the way we try to do our choruses is almost like, I don't know if you know Simple Plan.
Yeah.
We kind of try to
90s, man.
Yeah, we kind of try to tune our choruses like that, and that's why I feel like a lot of people say our songs are so catchy.
Okay.
And stuff like that. The stuff that I'm doing right now solo is kind of like that, but it's more like, I guess that's more geared toward the rap, because like the way I was writing it, when like the mind state that I was in when I was writing it, like each song like tells a story of it. Yeah, it's a whole concept album that I'm putting out.
And for those that don't know, and I had to look this up before I chatted with you, can you, in your own words, define what a concept album is?
See, I feel like a concept album is a way that really tells a story, or just a concept. Like, I don't know. Kid Cudi really did that a lot.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang did that a lot. The way we have a whole story to the first ever, well, we called it an album when it was coming out, but I guess more now to think of it, now that we have an under a better understanding of what an album is, that was kind of more of just like a 9-song concept EP. And that whole EP, for those who haven't listened to that, really like, it's kind of a story of 2 teenagers who are battling depression and end up, there's a whole lot of metaphors. If you haven't heard it, listen to it. But there's a whole bunch of metaphors that kind of really show like how depression is, what depression really is. Because like I've been battling that my whole entire life. I've been battling a bunch of different stuff. And that's kind of, music honestly has been like a therapy to me. So I try to make that a therapy for others as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said in the album Alive?
On live, yep.
I really liked Shadows.
Oh yeah, that's
Really
one
like
of our
that.
fan favorites.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's
Cool,
awesome.
Cool. So I'm a big fan of that, and I'm a big fan that you guys aren't just, singing about just drugs and
Yeah.
money and sex
And that seems to be the popular thing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
when you were coming up with the concept, is this something that was lacking around your local space?
Yeah, I just feel like that's really lacking in mainstream, especially like a few years ago. That was really, really lacking in mainstream, not even mainstream hip hop, just mainstream music. I feel like that's kind of why I really, really like the alternative sound, because I feel like that's way more in tune with the emotions. And hip hop, I love hip hop, don't get me wrong, but hip hop I feel like kind of idolizes the idea of money, sex, drugs, things like that. And like I'm all about trying to be a positive person, trying to build bigger influences of better ideas for people. And I just feel like listening to that as a child versus listening to something that is going to make you a better person in your future is just so much more important in life.
Yeah. As a child, do you remember the first, it doesn't have to be a rap song, but the first song that made you think that it got you in the feels, right? Like that,
Yeah.
like that set it off for you.
I'm trying to think, like there was a few songs
That would you like played on repeat?
Yeah, like that. Really, one of them that like the song that made me really fall in love with like hip hop and rap and kind of like got me into my feels was the song "No Love" with Eminem and Lil Wayne. That, and like I know that the lyrics of that are a little bit like more different than like it. Not that song hits everybody, but it was kind of like the music video, the way it does with the kids getting bullied and things like that, and it just made me really resonate with it. Trying to think for rock, really, the song "Perfect" by Simple Plan. Really, that kind of like hit me too when I was growing up, just like dealing with stuff in my own childhood that like try to kind of form me, that I had to break some habits I had to break. Those songs definitely did a lot, and I'm sure I could probably name thousands if I had the time to sit and think about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And so you guys, did you and your partner, you both had different variances of depression?
Yeah.
And can you are willing to share that? Like,
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
did that stem from?
See, mine I think really like stumbled from a lack of things in my childhood. Just like growing up in not the best household kind of like took a number on me. And that's stuff that like I eventually hit. Like once I got older, I was like, all right, that's not how I want to be. Like when I have a family, I want to make sure my kids know how I feel about them, make sure that everything is great for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you come to that conclusion? Did you have another mentor or someone looking out for
Yeah,
you?
I did. Actually, so I kind of used to hide out at my partner's house.
Okay.
Like we are childhood friends. We've known each other since we were 8 years old. And his family really, and my mother is an incredible woman. She helped me through everything in my life, and she continues to. And that's my favorite person in the whole world. But like his family really kind of showed me, like when my family was, ready to put the white flag up, his family really showed me like, no, like it's going to be okay. And that's the strongest family I know. And they recently just lost their father. And yeah, and the way that they stuck together through that blows my mind. It's incredible. I feel like their bond even got stronger within each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, in addition to that, did someone direct you to a creative outlet, or how did
Yeah.
you?
So
Did you,
that's really how I got into music, being over there all the time. And
Okay.
his so my partner's brother is Anthony Persichetti. He does his own music now called The University, which is kind of more like a little funk, kind of more 80s vibe, kind of like people compare it to like Chromeo or Bruno Mars.
Okay.
And he was in it was like a pop punk band. It was called Alive and Standby, and they were pretty big around the metro area, and they ended up falling through. They kind of just like went their own ways, and then because Anthony left the band, and they kind of formed something else. But that, like, him always, like, me seeing him work on songs and how talented he is at instruments, that I was like, okay, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And like when he offered me and Tino to join, my partner, we were like, yeah, this is what we want to do.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we've wanted to do that since we were children.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so, did you guys choose to partner with each other because you had similar styles, or you complement each other well?
So yeah, that's what it really is. Like, we've always wanted to do songs together, but once we got really recording, we're like, we're a lot different, but we can make this work. And that's the thing. Like, I feel like it doesn't even matter the style of music you have now. Like, if you can get it to work, it'll work. Like, we literally just watched Lil Nas do it with, he took country and trap hip hop and combined it together, and he made a smash hit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it doesn't even really matter about the genres. It just matters how can I make this work to be something different and be something people can still relate to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so, to go off relatability, I mean, we'll talk about our history, but moving forward, how do you remain relatable?
In terms of like
how do you, because you want your music to tell a story about you, but what are you doing in your day to day to make, I don't know.
So what I really do, I guess I'll talk about it from a music standpoint.
Sure.
So I know this sounds crazy, but every single lyric that I write has a double entendre to it.
And can you explain that?
So that's being able to say two things with one lyric.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, a couple people have.
Yeah. So I try to do that with every lyric.
I think Gambino does that.
Yeah, Gambino does that all the time.
Yeah. Cool. That's great. That's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, no, it's hard, but I've just been writing since I've been writing lyrics even before I started writing music.
And did you find yourself thriving in high school or even before that with creative writing?
Creative writing, I really see. Like, I used to write stories when I was a kid. Like, I would like sit, pen and paper and just write stories out. So I've always had like a huge creative mind. Like, my mind's always been more geared to arts, and I think like high school, because you try out a lot of stuff in high school. You know what I'm saying? That's where you kind of
but for some they don't try out enough.
Exactly.
And so then you're like, oh, college is the logical next step. Right?
Yeah.
And so we can talk about that in a bit,
Yeah,
too.
and that's where I guess I tried so much stuff in high school and just like had relationships, fell in love. Yeah, depression hit me again. Just so many things happened to me, but like even the bad things I am grateful for, because not only would I not be the writer I am today, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Yeah, and that I believe that like built so much character into me and really kind of like whipped me into shape.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so with your creative process, what situations do you force yourself in certain situations to become creative, or where do you find yourself getting inspired typically?
So I get really inspired from like listening to older music, listening to rock music. Listening to rock music, and I guess where I find myself to be like drawing the most inspiration, being the most like creative in a certain state of mind, is when something like either traumatic happens to me or I'm just happy.
And so I think that's what I was trying to get at with the last question is, do we force, like, how do we find ourselves in more traumatic situations, right?
Yeah. I guess with me, I was just not dealt the best cards in my life. So I kind of like really like I said, that shaped me. And like those situations, they do make me more creative, really, like with the stuff I say, because it's like me getting thrown into those situations, stuff that I never thought would happen before. Now I'm also getting emotions attached with those. and to eventually turn me into a better writer.
And so in your day-to-day, what's your mindset around challenges and fear?
So what I really try to do is I try to take everything from a positive outlook.
Mm.
So and honestly that's the hardest thing to do in this world, is to be positive. Being negative is really the easy way out a lot of the time. And I used to be super negative, really, like, all the time. Like, I was, oh, this is never going to work. This is never going to work. But now it's like, okay, so this happened. What is the good thing about this happening? You know? And that's kind of how I try to live my life. Just take it from a positive outlook.
Was it Tinos' family that switched that, or who helped you, or your mom?
Really,
or who switched that?
It was Tino's brother who really
Okay.
put that onto me. And he was, just because when something would go wrong, it wouldn't even feel like anything went wrong. Just be like, all right, well, this is what we're doing now.
To him, he was trying to explain that to
Yeah.
you. Okay.
And my brother was like a father figure to me, and he was like a father figure to me. And yeah, they both just assumed those roles, and I'm glad that I was surrounded by great people in my life.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How many people, you graduated high school, how many people were helping you steer your path? Like, how many people, like, were you, any plans to go to college or school, or
yeah, so I'm currently in college. I'm taking
Okay.
a few classes at
Great.
Macomb Community College, which is a community college right by my house. And I'm taking like all music classes, and those really those help me from my day-to-day, whether it's making beats, like learning theory of how music works. And I'm also in a performing group at the college as well. So like my schedule is always packed, and I fit work on top of that, and then being in the studio and working on designs. So yeah, I'm always on the go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so would you recommend formal training now that you're in it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
How much knowledge did you have of making music as far as beats before you started doing that? It sounds like you were great with writing and storytelling.
Yeah, I kind of just really recently started getting into creating my own beats, like my own beats, whether it was like, because it was more of a team effort.
Sure.
And Shoelace Swishers were like, I don't think that sound, all right, let's try and do this. So like being around Tino's family and like hearing the sounds that sounded correctly, that kind of like, when we'd be making beats, before I had music theory knowledge, I'd be like, you just hear a note and be like, oh, that doesn't sound right. And then when it sounded right, I'll be like, okay. Like, I don't even know what key some of my songs are in from Alive. Like, honestly, like,
Are some of them, do you catch yourself like, oh, that was off beat?
No, I'll catch myself sometimes, like, from my earlier rap stuff. I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, what was that?
Nice.
What was that flow I was trying to do there? But that was just the state of mind and I was in, and I wasn't as great of a writer or delivering lyrics as I am now. And yeah, that's like I said, I don't even know what a key some of my music's in. I definitely don't know like the time signature. I feel like my stuff's all like 4/4, but like, yeah. So yeah, but now I like, as I'm making a melody, because I have like a MIDI keyboard, and I'll be playing it, and I'll be like, okay, that's E minor. Okay, so now I know the notes that are gonna work while I'm making the beat. So now that melody I have in my head, I can be like, oh, that's E, D, E sharp. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that, and then that helps me even become better at writing at music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there any space between going back to college, or you went straight to college?
Yeah, I was going to go to college, and then I took a year off, and I got a desk job. And that's when I really realized I do not want to do this.
You don't want a desk job?
No, I do not want to work a 9 to 5 ever. That's really like what kind of kicked me off. And I was like, I want to go back to school. I don't really know what I want to do. I know I want to do music. And people say, oh, it's so hard to get a job in music. And like, I was worried about that, and it was just so much worrying. And I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna jump in. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel like me and you were talking off camera. I feel like the best thing to do about a scenario in life is, if there's more positives than negative, jump right into it.
Yeah.
Because you only get one life, you know?
We won the lottery by living.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We're alive. Right?
Exactly.
So might as well make the most of it.
For sure.
And so that's when you kind of dove head first into making music?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just me really like, so it took us 9 months to make the first EP.
Okay.
And like, so many things happened within those 9 months. Like, we didn't even set a release date for it at first. Like, and then once eventually we were kind of like, all right, we think we're ready, we set a release date for it. But that was like, there was so many things that I was learning about myself and learning about life, because like I am still young, and I was learning so many things. I'm like, this is what I want to write about. This is the type of person I want to be. And that's really what kind of influenced my music. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if you guys had a clear vision, like an overarching vision of that EP. Like,
Yeah.
what was that broad message you wanted to send out into the world?
I can explain like kind of the concept to it.
Sure.
Okay,
You
so
can explain it in another podcast, but you can explain
Yeah.
it again. Yeah.
So it's really like, so Talk to Me and Dreams are about like breaking up. Those are kind of breakup songs, and then Dreams is like, oh, I'm dreaming we could be together, and like those songs have a double entendre. So then that's kind of like more of like a prelude to the whole album.
Okay.
So then the album really starts at the first skit.
Okay.
And the first skit is two kids talking about how they found a forest, and what people don't know is that forest is depression. And they thought it would, look good to be trying to do all these drugs, trying to, drink your problems away, things like that, fall into negative influences. So then once they're in the forest, they eventually end up meeting like a man who is kind of like a tour guide. Like, oh, I can help get you guys out of here. But then that also has kind of some religious aspects to it, where it kind of ends up being the devil towards the end of the album. So then some of the happiest songs on the album actually are like some of the darkest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because of that double entendre.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah. So
interesting.
like, and that allowed me. So once we obviously in the forest talking about depression, those songs allowed me to open up about my actual experiences to depression and really kind of set the tone for the lyrics that I chose for the songs. And then it eventually gets to the second skit where we're talking about jumping, and we try to keep like a comedy to like kind of like a lighthearted outlook to it. So like, kind of easy listening, but also like I want to get you to think at the same time. And so then it eventually goes to that. He tells the kids, all right, we're at the top of the hill. You guys need to jump off and we'll set you free. So jumping off the hill, setting yourself free is suicide, is the metaphor of suicide. And those are some problems that I've struggled with in my own life. And then we snap out of it and we're like, wait, what? Like, what did he just say? So the way it is that you're climbing up the mountain, and that mountain is, you're actually getting higher up in the atmosphere, but you're getting farther away from your family and friends. That mountain's isolation. So isolating yourself and then once you get to it, then you feel so alone that feels like that's your only option. That's not your only option ever. So then it brings us back to the last song, which is Everybody on It, kind of when the kids return home. And that was like, that I love that song too, because that was one of our hardest songs to make. And we got a feature on that song from Just Juice, who he works with Logic, and Logic's one of my favorite artists. So like that song really means a lot to me, because that feels like I'm one step closer to what I want to do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, each song really like means something to me. Shadows, that song really meant a lot to me, because that's where I kind of like opened up and like, this is my story. Yeah. And that one really always hits people the hardest. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are deep.
Thanks,
You
man.
guys are deep.
Appreciate that.
Any advice for someone going through depression or suicidal ideations that might not have as much of a support system?
Really, you always have a support system. Even when you don't feel like you do, you always do. And stay away from negative things like drugs and alcohol when you're going through that. And really, like, you are not alone is the biggest thing. Like, that's what people need to understand. You are not alone in this world. Even when you feel like you're so isolated and so like deeply removed from yourself, you're never alone. And suicide is never the answer, I feel.
Have you ever felt like not alone, but you just like were like hated yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's honestly an ongoing struggle that I have with myself. And when it gets to that, I just look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you're going to be okay. That's what like it has to be. And that's just like from stuff that I've went through, and I'm just like, you're going to be okay. Like, you've made it this far. Like, the stuff that I went through, like, I'm surprised I'm still here in this world. And like, it's like I said, it surprises me. And I'm like, if I can make it through that, if I made it through the fire, I can definitely like withstand a couple matches. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Very cool. And going back to the process, what comes first, or I guess does it change depending on the song? Do the lyrics come first? Do the beat? Do you try to come up with a beat?
So
What comes, chicken or the egg?
I guess really what comes first is the idea.
Okay.
The idea of what I want to do with the song. So if I have the idea, so like a lot of the time, like my phone is filled with verses, filled with lyrics. Like it's like 6 or 7 page of just full verses already written out, ready to go. And that's stuff that like, whether I've been feeling that in the moment, had to write it down, or stuff that I hear a beat and I'm like, oh, that would sound good on it. Like I know what I want to talk about this. Cause sometimes the beat sets the tone a lot of the time. Like the way the beat makes you feel, you're like, ooh, like if he's got a nice bounce to it, you're like, I want to do something funky on here, like something like that. But then it's like, if it's really hard, like, okay, let's get this one hyped up. But if it's guitar and it's kind of sad, then you really kind of want to like get in your feels with it. So like I said, the idea comes first. So like the solo stuff I'm working on right now, I had the whole entire idea before I even picked out the beats. And then for that one, I picked out the beats and then I wrote to the beats. Okay. I feel like sometimes when you have the beat first, it gives you a better advantage of like writing the beat. Like,
no, I get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes like for videos, it's hard to put sound around the video.
Exactly.
So sometimes I find myself starting with the sound, and you just have clips that you haven't used yet,
yeah,
or lyrics that you haven't used yet, and like, oh, it would fit the beat.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and it's just like so like such a creative process, and that's what I really like about it is like you don't have to have everything figured out before you go into the song. You just have to have a basis.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's with everything. Like I feel like even with like videos, you're like, okay, this is kind of what I want to do, but ooh, that might look better. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I feel like that's just the great thing about being involved in art.
Yeah, it's really you shouldn't put a label around it.
No, that's as soon as you put a label on it, that's when you start limiting yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there certain sounds, beats, or instruments that you wish you would hear more of, and that maybe you would try to incorporate into your own art?
So one instrument that I kind of like have been playing around with lately is a vibraslap.
I do not know what that is. What is that?
Okay.
Sounds like a sex toy.
It really does though. So obviously you know Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Do you know the song Sweet Emotion?
Yeah.
It kind of almost sounds like a rattlesnake. But what the instrument is they hit it on their knee and it has like a ratchet in it that like vibrates back and forth. And it makes like, as soon as you hear that instrument, you're like, oh, that's what that is. Like,
okay.
And like, I've just been kind of playing that. I feel like a lot of things that we do here now, especially is coming back like very relevant is guitar.
Or I guess things that wouldn't seem to complement each other. Like a sexy sax with some hip hop, or like sexy sax with like,
that
right, but like it would, but like you just don't hear it enough,
See, we have these trap beats, like these trap drum lines, and we put like cello strings with them sometimes, and we're like, but like it's the way if you put the effect on it where it's like sharp, and put it with the trap, like you're like, oh, that's kind of like this is what Beethoven would be making now if he was still alive.
Yeah. Right before this, a friend of mine was recommending me another guest to come on, and she in Chicago is actually friends with Chance, but like raps and plays the violin.
That's awesome.
So that'd be pretty.
Yeah,
it's something that you just wouldn't see.
And that's what's so beautiful about it is like when people get those things to work, it's like, why didn't we think of that before? Like just doing it so like beautifully, like poetry in motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I love that about anything in music. Anything in art in general.
And so what was the feeling that you guys received after you completed that EP together?
That's really how it was. It was like, and then like, it was because we were kind of stressed out when we were getting to the deadline. Then we got to the deadline and we
you eventually did set a deadline.
Yeah. Okay. And then we looked at each other and we were like, we just really did that. All right, time to get started on the second one.
So did you find yourself rushing at the end?
I don't feel like I was rushing. I mean, if I did that album again, I definitely I wouldn't really play around with the lyrics, I guess. I wouldn't really play around with the instruments. I play around with more of the production side of it, the mixing and mastering side of it, because like
And you guys did that yourself?
Yeah, we did everything ourselves. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it because you were strapped for cash, or
Well,
you
well,
liked
yeah.
it, or?
Well, we do love it. I mean, we're always strapped for cash. I'm living this broke artist life, but yeah,
That's the thing. I'm sure a lot of the listeners can
exactly,
relate to that.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
everyone's got to be creative and find out a way to kind of do it themselves.
yeah, and like, and I feel like as soon as you start making like the excuse is like, oh, well, I'm not gonna do it now because I'm strapped for cash and I want it to sound like that, and I know that I'm not gonna be able to do it myself. That's when it's like, okay, what are you doing? Like, you need to just jump right into it, start going, and that's what we did. You know, we were, well, we're not gonna be able to get into a crazy studio now. I'm like, now I'm at the point where I can get in the studios, and I'm just like, still like, it's obviously still a lot of money, but like I have the recognition, not as much as I would like, but I have the recognition now to where I can get into a studio and see how it actually sounds. And when I'm at the studio, I can translate some of that stuff to my studio at home. Yeah.
Okay. And so out of these phases, whether it's coming up with the lyrics, the beats, production, what part of that is the most important?
Okay. I feel like it's the message.
Interesting. Yeah.
I feel like it's really like, whether you have a song that makes somebody cry, you have a song that makes somebody extremely hyper, you have a song that makes somebody want to dance, the emotion that you bring with music, no matter what motion you're trying to strike, if you can hit that, then that means you did your job right. You know, if you get the goal of a song, because like I always have a song and we try to like, okay, this is the goal that we want. Like our unreleased stuff is like kind of more like we want like dancing to it, like kind of more of like a club vibe. And we take that and we're like, all right, we want people to dance to this. So we're going to try to make it a little bit more like that. But we still try to keep like I'm still like, you know, having double entendres in it, but trying to get the dance
for the
club.
people that care.
Exactly. Yeah. like I got bars. Trust me. Yeah.
And so because when I listened to the EP the first time, I was like, they're really good.
Yeah.
Actually.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
And then I played it for some of my musician friends, and they're like, they're good, but you can tell that there's room for improvement.
No, yeah, there is. Yeah.
And so I don't have that trained ear.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and you said this in the previous podcast, how you do appreciate constructive criticism.
I love it. Yeah. I love constructive criticism. Because that just makes me, because I always want to improve. Like, I guess that's just the thing. Like, artists always have a chip on their shoulder where it's like, no, this is how I want it. But like, I don't want to do music just to become like a better artist. I want to do it to become a better person. So like that constructive criticism that I get, I want to apply that to other aspects of my life as well. That's what I like to do about it. And when I get constructive criticism, that just means like, okay, well, there was some parts that were good, some parts that I feel like I could do better. But the thing is, I feel like I'm never going to be at the point where I want to be. Like, I feel like once I get to where I want to be, then I'm going to be like, all right, what's next? Like,
Yeah.
so like, I don't want to even set myself a standard. I just want to be like, just remembered as great. Like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so why the not breaking off, but like the individual project?
So yeah, it's not really like a breaking off.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, cause he is doing his own solo music. That's kind of more like poppy, and like I love the stuff he's doing, and we're like, okay, well, we told our story together. Let's try to tell our stories alone, but like still like we're gonna be doing this stuff because like me and him together on stage is just like I wouldn't want to be anywhere else other than that, because that's just like the chemistry that me and him have on stage is incredible. Like people have told me like I've never seen anything like that. Like we were playing shows at like small hookah lounges, and then we got offered a Wayne State show. Like so like it's just like,
And what's the size of that?
Wayne State, I'm pretty sure, are the hookah lounge or Wayne State?
Wayne State.
Wayne State, I think he said like, what was it, like 5 to 10, 3 to 5,000. So, yeah,
thousands.
yeah. But like that would obviously be with other artists because we can't sell that out right now.
Yeah.
But and then we're doing a lot of other
You
shows.
gotta start somewhere. So
Yeah.
I want to ask, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. It's like how have you overcome the people that doubted and dismissed you?
So
I mean,
yeah,
being white probably doesn't
yeah,
help.
no, that doesn't help.
Being young
Yeah,
probably doesn't help.
Yeah.
So and I guess depending on how much work you've produced,
yeah,
not a lot yet.
yeah,
Right. So
exactly.
how have you guys overcome that?
So really, like, we're just like, okay, because It's not even that. I guess we have a chip on our shoulder because we're white. Because like I feel like there's so many white rappers now.
There are, yeah.
Yeah, that's just like I feel like that idea is just like faded out. Like obviously some like old heads are gonna be like, oh, he's white, he can't rap. But like that, like we've had people show that no, we can like, and like from that, and yeah, I just feel like, I feel like that doesn't really like kind of impact as much as it should now. But when it comes to like the doubters and things like that, have been people who doubted me from the start, ended up changing their opinion. There have been people who loved it from the start, ended up doubting me after the project was out. There's people who doubted me then, doubted me now. There's people who loved it then, loved it now. I'm not worried about the haters or the doubters. I'm worried about getting somebody to feel better about their life with the song. Like, I just feel like the idea is just so much bigger than me. Like, I feel like I was meant to do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so how many no's did you guys get before Wayne State?
So we haven't played the Wayne State show. That's kind of like still getting set up to be talked about.
Oh, great.
But yeah, that's everybody's still like, there's like even some of my closest friends are like, dude, are you sure you're ready for that? And I'm like, from a performing level, absolutely, I'm ready for that. For when it comes to the tickets part, probably not. But
is that on you guys?
Yeah, so that's gonna be on another promoter who's doing it for getting that show. But
and
yeah.
So who are your managers talking to in order to get you guys these spots?
So I have 3 different managers right now. I have one in the corner right now. I have one back home in Michigan. I have 2 back home in Michigan. And I try to like I said, I try to put myself in a bunch of different pots. So like for when it comes to like the event planning and the promoting, helping me promote, that is towards a brand called Clear Color Media. And that's one of my close friends, Alex Saab, started that. He has his own podcast, by the way, too. It's called the Sitch Podcast. And he's been doing great things as well. He pretty much started from nowhere. He started playing places for free, charging tickets at the door.
Is this the comedian?
What was that?
The comedian?
The comedian?
Oh,
no, that's a different guy. That's a different guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was that the Frick?
Yeah, that was that one. Yep. Yeah, but he started the Sitch, which that is kind of like comedy tour. It's kind of more geared towards comedy and just arts. And he's doing a phenomenal job getting us shows, doing great, like helping local artists succeed. And like the stuff that he does, I eventually want to do one day with the local artists, because like when you give somebody a shot, you like so many great things can happen from that. It's just being like, all right, I'm gonna give you a shot. That's the hard part about it. And like getting that shot, and especially coming from an artist, is like, oh, they believe in me? Well, I'm gonna push myself even 10 times harder than I have been, because now it feels like you got something to prove. Yeah.
But it's, I guess, how, just to give you that 30-second time a day, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what are the managers doing? Like, how annoying, or if they have to be annoying, like, how aggressive do they have to be?
They have to, like, it's just a lot of bargaining for a venue. It's because that's the one thing that I do not like about music is the business side.
Are they being paid? Are you paying them to?
No, they're paying us.
They are. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but like some venues, like the bigger venues, they want like an upfront, and then once
you're responsible for selling. Okay.
Yeah, and then they sometimes still get a cut at the door.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, it's people are very greedy when it comes to, because when somebody feels like they have the advantage to make money off you and they're not the best person, they don't have the best morals, they're gonna try to use that to their advantage. And that's the one thing I don't like about the music business, but that's never going to change unless people start doing it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it an industry that is geared around who you know as well?
Absolutely.
And so how did you guys come across Just Juice?
Just Juice, that was just an Instagram DM.
No way.
Yeah.
So how often are you guys cold DMing
So
artists?
we've talked probably like 3 or 4 times. Me getting him on the verse. When we dropped the whole project, he messaged me. He's like, yo, like, sick visual, man. Like, you guys killed it. I love your guys' verse. Then I talked to him. I actually talked to his brother more than I talked to him, because he's a busy guy. Talked to him, just like saying what's up to him. But then I hit his brother up because I was talking to him about some potential beats. But yeah, because his brother's a very good producer as well.
And are you doing continuously doing that with other artists out
Yeah,
there?
a few other artists.
And
Yeah.
how many of them are receptive to that?
Receptive how?
Receptive, like they remember what it was like to be at the bottom of the totem pole,
And that's the thing that like,
humbled. You
yeah,
know?
there's really only a few that are humbled like that, because it's just like I know, like I'm gonna say it right here, right now. I know that I'm the type of person who's not gonna change my morals if something does pop off for me. And like, yeah, like I eventually want to, start charging a higher amount for verses, a higher amount for writing, but it's like I know where they're at, and and I know I'm not respected to the point that I want to be. So that is like, that really wants me to help other people succeed into it. And like these other artists, once they get big to the point where they got the ego and their head's the size of the room, they're like, all right, well, we're just doing this for the money now. And that's literally never why I want to do music. Like, obviously, I want to have it to the point where I can support my family off doing that and not have to work a 9-to-5 job. But as soon as I start feeling like I've done it for the money, I just want to quit, because that's not like, it's a
Because once you have it,
yeah,
you're not. Where's the desire to continue?
exactly.
You know.
And like that's why, and the thing that really helps me with that desire to continue is wanting to be a better person
Yeah.
and not wanting to fall into the things that I've seen into my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are there other avenues aside from DMing, maybe to surround yourself within that industry?
Yeah.
Like the Grammys just passed, right?
Yeah.
So like Grammy parties, after parties.
Those after parties help. A great way to do it is like going on hashtags on Instagram. Like, let's say you live in Atlanta, just hashtag Atlanta rap. See who your other artists are. Obviously, don't be trying to message T.I., but like try to message like artists that you see kind of have a smaller following to the point where they're still humbled enough to be like, okay. Doing features really helps. Getting them to feature on your songs really helps, because now you're expanding your fan base through their fans. Going to local events where there's going to be an artist there who's pretty prevalent in the area, and you do that and you can just talk to people. Like, just, hey, how's it going? I'm Austin. Nice to meet you. Talk to them. Get a follow on Instagram from them. And then maybe even a couple weeks later, message them, hey, man, you met me from here. Here's some of my music, or you can do it right away. It's really about networking and putting yourself out there.
Does that seem too salesy at times?
You
like you just want something,
and you have to you have to like not have a sales pitch, but not like be like, okay, let's be best friends. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be like right in the middle of that, and like. That's the part that I don't like about it, like, because like I feel like there's so many fake people in this world, and I'm not trying to be like that. That's like why I chose the name AUTHENTiC, and like that's why like some of the people that I talk to, like I want to make sure they're doing okay. Like there's people who I've met through music who became some of my best friends, and I'm like, yeah, like I care about you, like a brother or a sister. Like that's what I'm gonna give all my effort to. But when it comes to promoting my music, like if I pay for an advertisement, I want everybody in the world to see that,
Yeah.
And that's not even for like trying to be a sales pitch. That's because I want people to listen to it and see how it hits them. I want them, if they're going through something, that just means I'm helping spread the message to even more people, and they have the ability to listen to it. So if they're going through something, that can help heal them like it healed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about the same thing a lot.
Yeah.
It's like how often am I cold DMing people versus just allowing myself to get in my hole and do good work, good work that you
Absolutely.
And I got this from a previous guest,
Yeah.
that you're impressed with.
Yeah.
And all it takes is one person or a few people to get their eyes on it or ears on it, and they'll spread it like wildfire.
You tell the right person, they'll tell 10 people.
Until then, you have to work on your craft every day to the point where you're proud of it, and eventually someone will catch on to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and so just like how we talked about off camera, I like saying, "Tell me no, watch me rise."
Exactly.
Right. So
Yeah.
like, just it's adding fuel to the fire.
I
Like,
love that.
really, you don't want to
Yeah.
clap? All right. Well, I'll
Ex-
keep doing my thing, and just keep listening.
exactly. Yeah. And that's why I feel like artists do so many crazy things. Like, 'cause they're trying to be like, they're trying to just get eyes on it. Like, whether they say some very ignorant bullshit or they do something really stupid and ignorant, I feel like that gets the click. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
how, and that's the
But
one
that's
thing.
not timeless.
Yeah. No, it's not going to be.
No.
As soon as you having somebody feel an emotion from a song and having them be able to play it and hit that emotion every single
Yeah.
time, that's timeless.
Yeah.
And
Man on, I think you talked about Man on the Moon on a previous episode.
yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think how's the Detroit scene? Like, do you feel like you guys have to eventually move one day, or any interest in that?
So I have no problem with moving. Like obviously I'm gonna miss my family. I feel like the Detroit scene right now, it's great for rap. Detroit rap, I love Detroit rap, but it's not really like my style. I feel like they're definitely like Detroit is building, like Detroit is rising up, and I hope to God it becomes a city that it used to be, and I know it will if people keep doing the right stuff they're doing. I feel like the Detroit scene right now is really big for house music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Detroit house is gigantic over there.
Okay.
And that's what a lot of people really listen to. A lot of people love the EDM sound that comes from Detroit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any interest in putting some lyrics over some EDM?
Oh, I would love to do that.
I think you guys. I don't know if you listened to any of it, but like
Yeah.
one of your last hosts mentioned Odessa, and like
Yeah.
Odessa's great. He mentioned like they brought out a drum line and everything. and
Yeah.
yeah. I think they're. They're not from. No, they're from like the West Coast, I believe.
Yeah.
But like we talked about earlier, just mixing genres.
No, I love mixing genres. That's like having a crazy idea work is like, oh my God, what did I just do?
Was it at the end of Everybody on It? There's like a chorus type acapella type.
That
sound.
was Talk to Me.
Talk to Me.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that's we really got in our singing bag for that one. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that
was very unexpected.
Yeah. That's what I wanted that one to be. I wanted people to
Okay.
be like, whoa.
Wait, what just happened?
Yeah, when we do that at like live, like everybody will just be kind of get in the groove with the rap, and then it gets to that point at the end of the last chorus where it just turns in, all the music fades out and goes into an acapella, and we do that live, and everybody's like what, like what's going on? Yeah, I love that. I love just switching up on people. We got to keep them interested.
Would you consider yourself more on the scale introverted or extroverted, somewhere in the middle?
I'm more extroverted
More
for sure.
extroverted?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you feel like a natural on that stage then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
I mean, but the first time I ever performed, I was 11 years old.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, you've been doing it for a
So
while.
yeah, but right when I got on the stage, I was like, okay, I like this. Like and then performing, because my first ever thing that I did, like I was like 11, and I think it was like a social studies Olympiad, and like they had a section where you could write a hip hop song.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm super into music. I'm gonna try this. So I got one of my friends. It wasn't Tino. It was one of my other friends. He did not like rap until like later on. One of my other friends. I'm like, dude, I'll write the whole song. I'll write the whole song. I just need you to do this with me because I don't want to go on stage feeling alone and like get nervous. He's like, all right, bro. So we wrote the whole song. We sent it in. We just kind of like bullshitted it. But I've been a good writer since I was a kid. So then I'm in my elementary school, and I get called down to like the social studies Olympiad, like the office, and like the instructors are in there. And I'm like, oh God, what did I do? Because I was definitely a troublemaker when I was a child. So then I'm getting there, and they just go, he goes, congratulations. I go, what? He goes, you earned a gold medal for your song. And I was like, what? I was like, what? He's like, yeah, they want you to go perform at the event. So we went and performed it. And I can't remember if we got a silver or a gold for the performance. I feel like it was a silver. I think it was a silver for the performance.
How old were you?
I was 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said okay. So was that kind of a moment where you
Yeah,
realized
that
like I could this is
Yeah.
cool. Like I like this. I'm good at it.
Yeah.
Like,
And my brother's a phenomenal writer as well.
okay.
Yeah, he works like a desk job right now for writing, but he kind of really influenced my writing as well. Just like telling me like, I think you should try and do something like this. Well, it sound better if you worded it like that. That kind of like helped me out a lot too. But yeah, with that, like when I was 11 and I did that and like I got the medal for it and I was like, wow, I was like, I could see myself doing this. It was just a crazy dream though. But
Yeah.
you know, it still is a crazy dream, but it's like every single day I'm getting closer, whether it's somebody that I'm messaging, somebody that hits me up for a show. Like I just found out, you know, some great news about a potential show. And like that's like pushed me further to be like, all right, I got to get in the studio like right now and just become like what I want to be. And like performing, like I just want to be the best performer. I just want to be the best at everything I do because that helps me bring my message to more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with, I guess, 2 questions just to get it out there. The first one is, can you break down the arc of your storytelling? Like the phases of a story to you?
Okay. So I feel like I kind of like to like, when I tell a story, I kind of like to just throw somebody into it. So like, what's going on? That's what I like to do. But for the album, I felt like I needed a little bit more of like a prelude. And those are singles that we put out. I'm like, all right, let's work those into a prelude. So that's kind of gives you like, and then it's like, boom, snap, flash forward there. Then I like there to be, you know, a little bit of exposition and then kind of like explaining like, okay, what's going on? And then like I kind of just try to stick to like a traditional just storytelling way, you know, rising action, climax, falling action. That's what I really like to do. But I do kind of twist it certain ways where like I want something crazy and unexpected to just happen. And that's like some stuff like I have like 2 album ideas and I'm pretty sure for another concept albums. And that's whether if I'm doing them with Shoelace Swishers or whether I'm doing it with myself. Like, and me and him have even talked like, we're like, we are definitely want to stay together through everything, but we just want to see like what can we create with ourselves. And like we got in the studio a couple of days ago and we were doing solo stuff and we just made something incredible. And I'm like, well, since when could we do that? He's like, I don't know. We came far. Like all my friends are like, you guys have seriously improved like with everything you do. And like every single song when I'm sending it around to people with a rough draft, I was like, this one sounds better than the last one. This one's my new favorite one. And that just like that even pushes me more to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other part is the performance aspect of being on stage. How are you captivating the audience?
Okay.
Especially if you're up and coming or if you're an opening act. It's
Yeah.
tough, right, to get the crowd going.
So what I like to do is I like to like, so with the couple performances that we were playing, I noticed that everybody was like sitting down because it was like I said, it was a lounge setting with like hookahs. So like they kind of just sit, relax, and smoke. And I was like, I don't know if a show's gonna work here. Like if we're trying to throw like a show,
maybe more somber song.
Yeah, like I'm like we're trying to throw a show here. Like
yeah.
When people come see Shoelace Swishers, people go see Tino Persichetti, people see AUSTiN Authentic. They want to see a show. Like that's what I want people. I don't want people to remember the music. I want them to remember the feeling, remember the fun, remember the experience that they had. And so like when I go up to these shows and I notice that, you know, artists are performing and, you know, some people are sitting down, and I don't ever feel like that's the artist's fault. Cause a lot of the situations I've been like, they'll be like, all right, yeah, if you guys want to come up here, and then people just choose to be like, whatever. So when me and him get up to the stage, first thing we do, get the fuck up here. like, don't give him a choice. Like, that's a command. Like, you're getting up here. And we always say, like, you know, if you guys are coming to see us, you guys better be standing and showing. Because once you show people, like, that it's okay for them to be themselves, that's when they drop all their egos and all the bullshit aside and be like, enjoy the moment. And they put their phones down and enjoy the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. What is the theme of the individual album coming out?
It's about some female problems, I guess.
Okay.
That's the best way I could put it. It's about just like with females for myself, and I guess it's more of like just a relationship album and like kind of what I realized like I want in a relationship. And it's not like a mushy gushy album. It's like there's some songs that are super trappy. There's some songs that have rock choruses. Like I'm all over the place with it. And that's kind of a storytelling album as well. There's a lot of hidden messages in this one.
Yeah.
And like there's some that will be kind of hard to find, but there's some that if you look a certain way, you'll be able to find it for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, that one was definitely a growing experience, and that's what I like. Just I can listen to a song and be like, I can't believe I was feeling like that at that time.
Interesting.
So like, I guess like, never worry about it, but never forget about it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Is there a deadline on this one?
Yeah, I have a deadline for this one. I want to release this one May at the latest. I want to
Right.
release this one on my birthday when I turn 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's insane, by the way. But okay. Yeah. We off camera we talked about how many projects you're juggling.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're ever stretched too thin?
Yeah. I feel like I don't have the amount of time, but like that's how I feel sometimes. But then when I'm in the moment, I'm like, nah, I can do this. Like I'm not worried about this. It's until like I see all these deadlines that we have with the clothing, the deadlines we have with music, the show dates we want to plan, the trips that we want to go on, the getting the shooting for the merch. That's like I look at that and I'm like, whoa. But then like I really kind of dissect it and I'll be like, okay, so for these couple of months, I'll focus on those and not give a shit about the other ones. But then when it gets into the other months, I'm like, all right, let's put all the focus on that and don't worry about the last projects we just dropped. Let's try to improve. Next couple of months, all right, these ones are gonna be the best ones. Let's finish out the year strong.
That's good. Compartmentalize, you know.
You got to compartmentalize it. That's the best way to do it.
You can't half-ass two things.
Exactly.
You got a whole ass one.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I want to like whole ass the whole entire like for these couple of months I'm gonna whole ass what I want to do here.
Yeah.
Next couple of months whole ass that, and then just keep going forward with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Any last minute advice for someone who's an aspiring artist?
Okay. Be careful who you trust.
Oh, you've been burned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be careful who you trust. Never give up on your dreams. Never press pause on your dreams. Always strive to be better than you can be in your life versus with your art or just becoming a better person in general. And always know that you can improve on anything you can do and never let your ego take hold of your life. Yeah.
I'm impressed, my man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I hope Chicago treated you well. I hope you guys
Oh, yeah,
come
treated
back
me
to
great.
Chicago.
Oh,
Let
we
me know.
will.
Hit me up.
For sure.
I'll
Absolutely.
show you guys around.
Yeah.
But, we're looking forward to upcoming projects
Awesome.
for you guys for both from the Swishers and
Yeah.
from AUTHENTiC and
Yeah.
his Profit as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
Episode will be out soon. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Stay curious. Habla aloha.
Ooh.